Hello everybody, I hope this video finds you well. I want to talk about something known as kinestology. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because there are a number of you who are trying to communicate with your higher selves, mantids, mantid GP, mantid prime, or other entities, domain commander, and you are having difficulty getting answers. I can tell you from what I know, those of you who have volunteered for domain is completely aware of it. They are monitoring your thoughts, your speeches, your actions, and are quite aware of what's going on. But those of you who are trying, and you don't seem to be getting your expected results, perhaps you should follow my direction, which is center your consciousness using hemisync technology. Start listening to your inner, paying attention to it, and stop dismissing it. Your brain will dismiss everything that happens. So you have to start training your mind. But listen, guys, for those of you who are too impatient, perhaps there's another way of getting some answers. And this is a technique for you to get answers. This video is made by a contributor to MM. She is, unlike MM, she is very, very knowledgeable and versed in all kinds of these other techniques related to spirituality. Now, I want you guys to know that while I have a lot of strengths in certain areas, I am really deficient in other areas. I mean, I'm really lopsided like that. But she has abilities that are profoundly significant. And so she made up this little video that I am going to incorporate now here, and it teaches you kinestology. And it is a methodology that you can use to get yes or no answers, or even, it's a binary response. So you can ask a question, verbalize it out loud. You just don't sit there and think about it. You have to verbalize everything out loud. Always verbalize out loud. Listen, always verbalize out loud. You never just say, I'm just going to think about it and expect something to happen. Nothing happens that way. You're in the physical world. You have to use a physical sense. You have to write it down. You have to use your mouth. You have to visualize it. Physical senses generate physical results. Non-physical actions generate non-physical results. Keep that in mind, okay? So, she talks about kinestology, and it's a methodology of providing answers to questions. And it's a very useful technique. I'm going to stop my talking for now. I'm going to let you watch what she has to say, and then I'm going to jump right back in, okay?
Hello. So today we're going to look at how to do some basic muscle testing, and this is also called kinesiology. So muscle testing is essentially asking your body for answers to any question that is possible out there. And this could literally be anything. And also the quality of your answer really depends on the quality of your question. So what this essentially helps you do is ask better questions. And for many of us, myself included, this was the first step, or the entry-level step, to our psychic development or spiritual journey. With that being said, let's get started. As mentioned, there's many ways to do this. One of the popular ways out there is to use a pendulum. And there's also other ways, like somebody might ask you to lean forward if you get a yes, or lean backwards to get a no. Those are all valid ways. For myself, I was taught this way with my fingers, and I prefer this way because it is super simple. I don't need to carry around a pendulum, and I don't need to be leaning forward and backwards in public places, which may seem a bit strange. So, the way this works is you take your third or middle finger, and on both hands you create loops, and then you loop them together. So see how I have looped these fingers together like this. And when I ask a question, I will see if it can pull apart. And the way this works is truth has a frequency, and that has a certain force attached to it. So if something is true, the loop won't break. And if something is false, the loop will break. So we can ask ourselves any question just to get an initial baseline. So for instance, is my name Natasha? Ooh, see, I try to pull it apart, and if it comes apart, that means it's no. So my name is not Natasha. Okay. Do I have a cat? You see, no. Do I have a dog? It's not coming apart in that case. That means it's a yes. I do have a dog. Now, these are just some really, straightforward yes or no questions, but we can use this to do a lot of different things. So one of the things that people like to ask a lot is, do I need to charge my crystal? Or, should I go on this trip? And there's bigger questions in life, like, should I get chemotherapy? Should I break up with my partner? Those are bigger questions that probably shouldn't be used in this method initially. Once you get more hang of it, you'll be able to do it. Now, the beauty of this is once you get really good at it, you become so in tune with your body that you actually no longer need to do it. So these days, I rarely use this method because when I ask myself a question, the answer just comes naturally, and I don't even need to use my fingers anymore. So when I first started, I used this method. It works. Now, once I got more familiar with it, I became more minimalist. And so I started to use just one hand, and I make the loop like this with my thumb and my second finger. You can do it with your thumb and your third finger, your thumb and your fourth finger. All of those things work. Now, let's do an example real quick. So I'll do an example with actual numbers, and this can be used sort of like in a statistical way. So I live in the suburbs, and I would like to know how many households, what percentage of households have a dog within the 5-mile radius of my house. So the way this works is I'm going to ask, usually you can step up or step down. In my case, I'm just going to start at 50%. I like to do that. Again, not a hard rule. So the way this works, I put my finger like this. I ask myself, do at least 50% of the households in my 5-mile radius have a dog? Oh, that's a no. So if I get a no, I'm going to step down. Do at least 40% of the households in my 5-mile radius have a dog? Oh, yes. Okay, so if I get a yes, I step up. So now I'm between 40 and 50. Is it at least 41? Yes. at least 42. Yes, at least 43. No. So what that tells me, see how I kind of homed in on the number? So that tells me somewhere between 42 and 43% of households within a 5-mile radius of my house own a dog. So that is how this works. And that this can literally be applied to anything. You can even ask yourself, do I have a past life as Cleopatra? No. See, these questions can get very wild. Now, with that being said, let's go into a little bit more of an advanced topic, which is distortion. So there's been different schools of thoughts regarding distortion. Usually distortion in this case means you're not measuring very accurately. And there's no really quick fix to that, except that you have to work on your own spiritual development in other ways. So one of the most commonly known ways is meditation. I prefer shadow work because I kind of like to do things very fast. And so the way I see it, shadow work is more of a subtraction methodology, and light work is more of an addition methodology. And most people out there, probably more than 95%, teach light work. But that's only half the equation. You have to remove all the conditioning and limiting beliefs and curses and contracts and implants and all of those things out of your system energetically. And that is how subtraction works. So if you don't do that and you only do light work, you're only sort of scratching the surface and you won't be able to go very deep. Now, regarding distortion, some people like to actually use this to measure distortion. So on the measurement that I just did with the percentage of families that own a dog, do I have more than 1% distortion? No. Do I have more than 0.5% distortion? No. Do I have more than 0.1% distortion? No. So you can see that because of, I've been doing this for a while, my distortion numbers are quite low. Now, if your distortion numbers are higher, as I said, there's different techniques to address this, and I won't go into all the details here because that would take too long. Now, outside of distortion, there's also sometimes differences in measurement that are not necessarily distortions. So what do I mean by that? Is if I measure, let's say I want to see how long I should charge a crystal. I measure 2 minutes. And then I get somebody else, my friend, family member, sitting next to me to measure it. And they get 3 minutes. Same crystal, right? You can even say same charging bowl, same time. Why are they getting 2 minutes? Why are they getting 3 minutes? Why am I getting 2 minutes? Why are we different? And yes, sometimes that is due to distortion, but also sometimes, there's my little charging bowl, selenite charging bowl. Sometimes it is due to the fact that we do not live in the same reality, right? Space and time are really just illusions, and reality is not what it seems. MM has covered this extensively in almost every video. So just because somebody is sitting next to you does not mean that you guys are on the same timeline and you're operating in the same reality. Some of your timelines may have overlapped a bit. Some of your realities may be overlapping a bit, but that's an assumption and it's not always true. This is also why you can have 20 students in a class listening to the same teacher or having the same coach in sports or having the same business coach, and they're all sitting there listening to the same information, and then they go out and they all work very hard, but people's results are very different. And some will say, well, I worked even harder than the person sitting next to me, but they got lucky. They got, very rich and I didn't. And the reason for that, again, is that we operate different reality fields. And so sometimes when two people measure things and get different results, neither of them are wrong, right? So if I get 2 minutes, then I am supposed to charge this crystal for 2 minutes. That's my reality. That's truth in my reality. Now, if somebody gets 3 minutes, then if they were the one charging the crystal, they would need to charge it for 3 minutes. Again, that's their reality. So in the past, I've spent way too long, way too many hours fighting with people about who's right and who's wrong. Really, most of the time, this is the situation. Nobody is wrong. Everybody is right. It's just we have parallel realities. So I hope this was helpful to you. Again, as with any skill, takes a lot of practice. There's not a whole lot of theory to learn, right? It's just practice. Practice as you would if you're learning a new foreign language, as if you're learning a new instrument. It's really the same thing.
I hope that that was beneficial for all of you and that you actually learned something from it. I think it's a good technique to use, and that you can use this in conjunction with other techniques as you may determine. You don't need to have expensive devices or mechanisms to accomplish anything. You don't even need to buy a lot of books and read a lot of things. All you just need to do is start practicing things over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the way life is. If you do something enough times, you're going to start getting results. You just don't give up. You just never give up. So there are those of you that has this idea that you have to have closure. You need to know everything before you can put it in a box and set it aside. That's a bad mind frame to get into. You don't need to have closure on anything. You're allowed to have everything an open book. You're allowed to have things half completed and half baked. You're allowed to do anything as long as it works. The other day, I've been studying doing stuff on AI, seeing what opportunities may avail themselves to me. Disappointed in some of the results. But one of the things is I have a notebook and I write in my notebook, and I go so far and I put my notes and I'm watching a video or tutorial, and then I stop and say, hey, this is going nowhere. This is not beneficial to me, or it requires that I buy this particular software that's out of my budget, so I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just, that's enough of that. Or it says, okay, well, you need to log in to Amazon and then connect your bank. Well, Amazon doesn't connect to my banks because they're Chinese, so that's out of the way. So you just push that to the side. They say, or they have something here. They say, okay, you can do this, and you just use your American Visa or MasterCard credit card. And wow, yeah, sure, except I don't have them. I have Alipay. So you have to cull things, and these boxes are left half open, half studied, half analyzed, and that's okay. Time comes in the future, I'll close them up, open them up, look into them, and that's the way things are. And same thing with you guys answering questions. Don't try to be that fly that's trying to get in through the glass. It'll never break that glass. It's just wasting its time and energy in a very short lifespan. Buzz off to go over to a tree somewhere, have some fun. But don't keep on trying to go into this window, okay? It's life. So if you can't find suitable results by following your inner guidance and trying to listen through Hemisync calming technologies, then try this kinestology to help you divine some answers. You might be surprised with the results. Okay, people, that's it for today. Remember, in every day, in every way, just try to be the best you can be. I have a video, I'm putting it on, it's a YouTube video, I'm putting it on one of my posts. You'll probably get to it in about a month. And It's about a cat. Old cat had cancer. And so this couple brought it in. The cat was going to die in 6 months. They excised the cancer. They tried to get rid of the cancer, and they decided that they would give this cat the best environment ever. Lots of love, lots of care, lots of play, lots of food, and they just always were fawning over this cat. Then they took the cat to the vet, and the cancer is gone. Don't get too caught up in other people's nightmares. Focus on the good that surrounds you. Help other people and be the Rufus, and you'll be surprised what the results will be. Tell you what. So be kind to dogs and cats. Be helpful to other people. Think good thoughts. Say good things. Do your affirmations if you're in a campaign right now. And remember, everybody, I believe in you.